Welcome back. We opened the show talking about crypto and the cryptocurrency industry. Interesting fact, when Kevin McCarthy was Speaker of the House, that was from January to October 2023. In the 2022 election cycle, the crypto industry spent $4.6 million on federal elections. As we said at the top of the show, that industry spent $119 million on federal elections last year. Former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, here with me now.
Good family.
That's a big change. That's got to be the biggest structural money change in politics in Washington.
Yeah, but you get this with different industries. I think what's happened with the crypto industry.
But they're way beyond the big banks, insurance, and big oil now. They're the biggest one in town.
Yeah, they are, and people didn't realize it. What happened was they got frustrated, and it's a mass group of people, the individual people that hadn't been involved before.
In politics.
In politics, investing, and it's kind of a libertarian field. They don't pick one party or the other.
No, Republicans and Democrats,
Yeah.
they want lots of representatives.
They want
as far as they can get
crypto
them.
legislation.
Right.
They don't pick certain legislation. They don't want to benefit to themselves. They just want to be legitimate, right? And they were what made them rise.
And they want lawmakers to legitimize what crypto
they wanted
is.
Well, it almost forced lawmakers to understand. I mean, America doesn't understand what's the difference between a cryptocurrency and a stable coin.
Right, or a meme coin, right.
Yeah. Now, you know, when you think about a stable
And there are
coin,
some gradations in there.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not easy.
it helps our currency because they take that money. And you don't really think of a stable coin like you're going to use it in America, but it's very beneficial. Argentina, the people who are unbanked, right? And they have high inflation, but they love the dollar. They don't want to carry it all around. And so they put into a stable coin, which is a digital dollar. They take that money and they go buy our treasury. I mean, you take like a Tether, who's like the 18th largest holder of our trade, more money than Germany buying our trade. So it's good for America. Then a cryptocurrency is a different digital currency, right? It could go up in value. It's not tagged to the dollar. And some people, I still believe long-term Bitcoin is the only one because it's finite of how much you could have it.
Right.
It's legitimate. It looks like a gold investment.
Closed at more than $100,000 today.
Yeah, you watched it just continue to rise. And what you have to do now is force members to understand about it. And now they've got to put legislation behind it to make sure you could utilize it. But government before was prosecuting these people. So that's the difference.
Are there legitimate concerns about fraud, money laundering, supporting drug trafficking, terrorism, and the like, because it is an anonymous currency?
Okay, so let me take you back because I spent a lot of time studying it. If you went back before cryptocurrency, that was the dollar.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So whatever they have, they can use.
It just runs in a different direction.
But because it's blockchain, this is what I predict in the future. You look like at USAID. When America gives money to another country, there's a lot of fraud, right? What if we gave that in a stable coin and you could follow it by blockchain? You'd take away that. What has happened early in the industry? Yeah, there were some bad players utilizing it. But I'll tell you now, it's really cleaned up.
Bankman-Fried, yeah. Right.
Well, in his situation, you didn't have the federal government putting the regulations behind it, so they're sitting down in Bahamas and there's no regs, right? And they're using their money wildly. That's why government actually doing regulation today. Hagerty has the Genius Act; it would do more. And
Bill Hagerty said,
yeah, and then they're got to do. Market structure will be coming next. French Hill is very exceptionally bright. He's a former Treasury,
Banking
owned
chairman.
a bank, understand that financial services, yeah. And I think you're going to see both parties working together, and it'll put America ahead of all the other countries.
I want to read to you something from the May 17th edition of The Economist.
Okay.
The industry, meaning crypto,
Yes.
has also developed a grubby relationship with the executive branch of America's government that outstrips that of Wall Street or any other industry. Crypto has become the ultimate swamp asset.
Okay, you make a statement, but what?
That's The Economist.
What holds that? What? Anybody can make a statement. What is that behind? All you're having is you have a President Trump that actually brought bright minds from Silicon Valley that understand this better, like a David Sachs and others, that are going to start helping legislators on how to craft legislation. That's not swampy. That's making sure America's ahead of the other countries. That's actually putting regulation around something that isn't today. That's actually cleaning up the swamp.
Should they not be profiting from it while they're in government?
How are they profiting from it?
Well, the Trump meme coin, two companies, well, only 8% of it, have made more than $300 million since January.
Well, the meme coins, I really don't Look at this. Look, I think the only one that really sustains itself long term is Bitcoin itself, right? And you watch it. There's been a lot of different ones. The ripples, the others have moved up, moved down, and it's a risk. It's like a different stocks than others. I think you put structure around it, you put regulation around it, so everybody understands, and they're not buying it to try to think it's going to go up one day and real down the next day. Stabilization.
Thus ends our midterm oral exam on cryptocurrency with you, Kevin McCarthy. Welcome back to the Takeout. You saw it. Kevin McCarthy walked over to the family table and joined us with Robert Costa. I want to ask you a real quick question, Mr.
Do I
Speaker.
get food with it? It's called the Takeout.
Not today.
You'll have to come back. What I'll do?
False advertising.
I'm going to take my tie.
There you go. See?
I didn't know that. I wore the tie out of respect for you.
And I appreciate the respect.
Show, yeah,
I respect. We're also trying to filibuster because you know what I'm going to ask you about.
Oh, no. What are you going to ask me about?
Boehner, when he was speaking about Pete's Diner, what was your favorite spot?
Who was a better speaker, Mike Johnson or you?
Oh, come on. Everybody has a different scenario. I think Mike Johnson's doing a fantastic job.
How is he doing it? Is he doing things differently than you did? Or does he have a different concept?
Everybody has a different, look, when I was speaker at a 5-seat majority, Democrat majority in the Senate and Democratic president, he's got about a little less majority.
But he's got the hammer of Trump.
Yeah, let's be true. Trump is more than a president, right? He's also the cabinet members, he's the speaker. I mean, Trump coming down and telling all the different factions, the salt, you're done. You got enough. Freedom Caucus, knock it off. They're all saying, I'm not voting for it. They vote for it. Because Trump is literally stronger than he's ever been in the Republican Party than he is right now.
Robert?
But what's the peril of that, right? If you have so much power and nobody confronts you, then you are at risk.
Is there any danger to that?
Well, sure. There's always danger to that, right? Look, the way I would always work with the president, I think he'd call different ideas. I always asked him this, and it never said, you don't go and just say no, then you say, what do you want to achieve? Now the difference is, it's only the second time in American history you had somebody come president, go away and come back. He's got the Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours. He knows the job. He thought about this job for 4 years. What he really needs, too, is somebody, what are other ways to do it, right? And give him those other options, because he wants things moving, because he knows he's got a short time period. When he says he's going to run for a third term, that's just to troll you. And it also makes him not a lame duck to people's mind. But he always wants something happening.
Creates that aura of uncertainty, even though there isn't any uncertainty.
Yeah. I was listening to Ken Martin, your conversation with him. My big question for the Democrats, and if Republicans are watching it, is the party Ken Martin's party? Is it kind of the Amy Klobuchar Democrat, or is it Senator Bernie Sanders getting 35,000 people in your home state of California, 20,000 people in Utah? Sanders, a movement politician, Ken Martin, a traditional Democrat from the upper Midwest. The tension between those two competing factions, I see as a reporter, that's something to watch ahead of 2026.
You know, both parties lost in the last election. Trump won, right? Trump brings it. And the
Explain
thing,
that.
Okay, Trump wins the popular vote, and we lose seats in the House. Mm-hmm. When Biden won the presidency, it was the first time since '94 not one Republican incumbent lost, and we beat 13 Democrats. In the last 70 races for the Senate prior to this in a presidential year, the state went exactly the way it did for
presidential.
Okay, so why didn't the Republicans win Arizona, Nevada, Michigan, and Wisconsin? They underperformed. So, and the whole new thing, the Republicans used to only win on low turnout. We're the party of just the high educated. Trump has broadened this party. Right. And the question will play. So we should have won more seats in the Senate. We should have won more seats in the House, for sure. We got a positive redistricting during that time. But we lost in California in a seat that Trump carried. Look, for the last 2 cycles, we only gained in California and New York. And now we are losing when he was doing so well. So what it really says is, will this transfer when Trump's gone? That's the fear I have with Republicans. The Democrats know they have lost. What they need to do is not do a study on how to talk to men. Just let the primary happen. Stop predetermining how it comes out.
I want to ask you about something, and I'm not sure you're read in on it. You might be. Situation in California with a transitioned athlete, boy, competing against girls, raised a tremendous controversy. Almost overnight, President Trump immediately weighs in on Truth Social. California Scholastic Federation changes its policy, allows more girls to compete. Talk to me about that issue broadly. How does it play? What do you see?
It's an 85-15 issue. And
Why?
It's not a Republican and Democrat. Because it's all about fairness. You could go to the most liberal Democrat that is a woman, that is an athlete, and they literally see it. And what's interesting to me, I had an eye-opener.
Get ticked off by it.
Yeah,
Telling me.
we had a hearing about this, right? And I thought it just happens at this. Maybe it's only happened at Penn and the college swimming. No, it's happening in elementary. I was shocked by the girls that came in. This one.
You don't think there's any exaggeration there?
No, I thought before.
It wouldn't be an 85-15 issue if there was, right?
No, but I listen to this young girl. Volleyball. You don't even think of the differences. A boy's thing in volleyball, the net's higher on. She's trying to compete to go for college, comes in, he just crashes, hits on her head. Just running. A triple jump. This boy would have never won against any of the other boys, and now he gets to go compete against the girls. Fairness is the most powerful word, I think, in America, and this just goes against the core of it. And this is where Trump is so strong. Because look at Gavin Newsom. They lose the House, and so he brings in all the Republicans for a podcast. You know, I understand you about this transgender thing. So when he had a moment when he said on the podcast he's going to do something about it, no, he wouldn't. This is where Trump, and this is why Trump transcends other people in the party. He means what he says and says what he means, because he simply said this is not right, and he won't sit back and say, oh, California has to do something. He uses his power to change it.
Tell my audience, as you look at the Senate consideration of the Trump bill, who do you circle? Who are the senators to watch? Is it Josh Hawley? Is it Ron Johnson? Is it Rand Paul? Who are the people to watch as genuine indicators that the White House might have to do something, intervene, change the politics?
It's going to pass.
I know it's going to pass. Reconciliation bills always pass.
And it will pass.
There's an inevitability
in
to
July.
it. But who to watch?
Well, you're going to watch Ron Johnson. Rand Paul, he's too much of an outsider and never finds a way to get to yes, so you discount him, right?
Okay.
You don't need him. Those that raise an issue but don't sit there and say they can never get there, they'll get their point.
They'll get there.
We've got a debt problem that's very serious. But you also have to understand, this is reconciliation. You can't do debt. When they sit there and say, well, you didn't do Doge. You can't do Doge. You got to do mandatory, right? And this is where you explain this to Elon. And the way they should have done Doge.
Who's down on it right now?
Yeah, but
I know.
But he doesn't. The way they should have done Doge, they should have treated like we did a BRAC, right? They should have just
Base
put those
realignment and closure. That's one of those acronyms. You know, I try to correct people.
But that's why you know so much.
Exactly. Kevin McCarthy, great to have you at the family table. Robert Costa, you're always welcome here.